Hi, cooperators. Thanks once more to take your time to watch this video. Um, my apology for taking so long. I was just busy with other things and also gave myself some time to reflect on the question that was asked by one of us, a very respectable member of the cooperative. I'm responding to the questions that he posed. Of course, after I requested that more people should come up with questions, trying to avoid a situation where one question comes today, another one comes tomorrow, another one comes next week, and then you spend most of the time answering questions. So I thought that maybe many people would post questions, and then I would put them together, look at them, and look at the best way in which I can address all the questions individually. I take it that there are no more questions, and hence I've decided now to formulate the response, and hence this video. I must really thank Malik for asking the questions that he asked. It's important that people should ask questions, even if sometimes the question you think that it is a stupid question. It is not a stupid question. That question will actually assist other people who have not even probably thought of the question, or who thought about it, but they were just afraid to ask. In a structure like this, a cooperative structure like ours, what will make the structure survive and stay forever? It will be the leadership that is not afraid to answer questions, or that do not, a leadership that doesn't take questions personally. Questions are asked because there are answers to be given. And also, questions are raised to correct certain things that don't appear or that are not correct at that time, or to warn against certain things that might happen. So they serve a very important purpose in any business formation. So never be afraid to ask a question. And then maybe if you are afraid to ask it yourself, just tell someone to ask it on your behalf. That would suffice as well. So my leader, that I respect so much, raised questions that actually talk to the core of our business in the cooperative. And I'm glad that these questions come up, and I'm glad that they come up now. These questions, at some point, they could have been dealt with, but I think in many meetings where we had an opportunity to deal with these things, we missed the opportunity, because most of the time, you would find people, instead of focusing on the things that talk to the business of the cooperative, and then they would end up digressing and bringing up things that have got nothing to do with business. And I've observed this many times. But sometimes when you are sitting in a room with very intelligent people like members of the cooperative, and you just allow the discussion to take any direction, even sometimes the chairperson would always try and bring it back, but sometimes you just say, you know what, perhaps just allow the talks to flow. Maybe there are some other things that you can pick up that are interesting. But anyway, on numerous occasions we missed the boat. But that's not a train smash. That's not a problem. Now that these questions have been raised, we're going to address. It is an opportunity to address them. I know that the leader that asks these questions he has not been consistent, which is not a bad thing at all. He has not been consistent in attending the meetings of the cooperative. I understand he's a very busy man. I appreciate that. And perhaps that is where he missed quite a lot of developments within the cooperative, because I can tell you now, I can assure you that had he been in all the meetings of the cooperative, he could have picked up quite a lot of these things at that point when some of these things were happening, and they could have actually raised those issues right there, and we could have dealt with these things at that point. But that being said, that does not mean that I'm casting any shadow on my leader who asked the questions. It's a good thing that he did, because now we can talk about them, even if he missed many meetings. The fact that he has raised the questions, that's what is important, and that's what needs to be addressed. My understanding of the questions, they come from the videos that I've posted, where I was getting the members of the cooperative up to speed on the developments in terms of the business of the cooperative. And I looked at them, and I realized that primarily they are dealing with two fundamental things. But I'm going to go to the questions. They are dealing with two fundamental things. One, they are dealing with procedures and processes, or processes and procedures, whichever way you want to put it. And these questions, they are dealing with the entire corporate restructure. Of course, the broader term would be corporate governance, and there are other things that I picked up that are technical. For instance, where he talks about inflation, he talks about assets. But maybe let me deal with questions as they came, as I understood them. But before I deal with the questions individually, let me first take you back to the formation of Promedical Primary Cooperative. Why was it formed? What was the idea behind the formation of Promedical Cooperative? And what shape was it going to take? What would be our vision? What would be our mission? What would be our strategy in the cooperative? I did many presentations before some of the people joined. I think we had about 3 or 4 presentations at the Zamoguhle Private Hospital, where I was explaining, because I was promoting the idea of the cooperative at that time. So I would call the colleagues, they would come and listen. And we were meeting at the boardroom, not a boardroom, in a lecture hall at the Zamoguhle Private Hospital. And I made it clear to colleagues that we are not setting up a cooperative that is typical of any other cooperative. We are setting up a cooperative that is driven by entrepreneurial spirit, or by entrepreneurship. A cooperative of professionals that are entrepreneurial. People who would like to take advantage of the opportunities that exist. And I kept on repeating that to make sure that people understand that it's not a cooperative that behaves more like a stock fair, where people lump in money in their account and they just hope that it will grow by generating some interest. or taking the money, giving it to Coronation Asset Managers, or giving it to Allen Gray, or you give it to Stanley Asset Managers. No. We were forming a cooperative of people who understand business. That was the bottom line. That's what I was selling. And the people bought into that. That the idea of this cooperative would be that the members themselves need to be entrepreneurial. The members themselves need to go out there and identify and bring in opportunities to the cooperative. And the members themselves need to use their own resources to go and look for the opportunities. And they would be remunerated accordingly. But we agreed that the only way to pay a person in business who's bringing in business was to pay commissions. And we kept commission at 10%. That's what we agreed upon. And to do that, we knew that we needed to have some money that is going to lubricate the system. So it means we had to contribute something to the bank account, which was already opened and it existed. And we agreed that let us put 6,100 and the 5,000, every member who joins the cooperative gets 5,500 shares at R1 per share. And then we're then going to identify opportunities. Some of the opportunities we're going to need funding. Some of the opportunities we're going to fund ourselves. The whole idea, wherever possible, was to fund opportunities ourselves without the help of any financial institution. However, it became clear, and in many meetings, this was vented, that it's becoming more and more difficult for us to take advantage of these big opportunities, these big deals, because they're expensive, and therefore we needed to actually look at engaging with financial institutions. And we identified them. We said, we're going to deal with DBSA and PIC. The reason, because those are funds that have been put together by the state to assist, particularly the Black businessmen, with funding. So since then, since 2018, 2019, I personally have been busy running up and down, identifying these opportunities, bringing them home, negotiating them. Some of them, they fall by the wayside. Some of them, they come home. And in all that, it was not an easy task. You take out your time, and time is money. And I did this because I believe in this, in what I'm doing. So the whole idea of this cooperative was not to have a cooperative that is going to put money in the bank and the money stays there and hope that the money is going to grow. That was never the idea. Okay. Now, but again, if you were to ask me, what is the list of the things that you wanted to do? And then I'll say to you, go to the Constitution. If you don't have it, I'll send it to you. In fact, right now, I'm busy talking to all the members and shareholders. I'll send you, and then we'll see the things that we're out to do, what we put there on our Constitution as the objectives of this cooperative. There's a long list there, but anyway, as we go on, you will understand better. But In short, that is how this cooperative was conceptualized. It was a cooperative that is entrepreneurial and is totally different from the other cooperatives that people are used to. Okay, where people put money together and then hope that okay, if they hand it over to somebody else who can grow the money for them, it's gonna grow. Okay, usually they would put money in their institutions. Some cooperatives, they would go on to set up a business. But at the center of this, I think what my leader is raising here is that where the processes and procedures followed in any decision that was made to do the things that we have done. My response to that is yes. In all the meetings that we attended, I would start by giving a business report and tell the members of the cooperatives what I've done with the people who I had in the office and the sum of the members of the cooperative. We're attending meetings left, right, and center. And we would give a business report. After the business report, we would then give the financials. In fact, we used to start with the financials in all the meetings that we have attended. And that would be followed by business report. And then, of course, we would be dealing with the projects to come and so forth. So that's just the background that I'm giving here. Maybe let me go to a specific question. Again, I'm going to keep going back to the idea of procedures and processes. The question is, in what I have done now, is the cooperative disappearing? Is it coming to an end and now we have a PTY? The answer is no. The cooperative is going nowhere. The only thing that is happening here, the cooperative is positioning itself to be able to better handle the corporate world by having a holding company and its subsidiaries. The cooperative could have taken a choice to stay as a cooperative and say, okay, we'll stay as a cooperative where there's a treasurer, there's a chairperson, secretary, and then we have a board. And then, and that's it. And then we're going to do businesses like we have envisaged that this is an entrepreneurial cooperative. So we're going to run with the loans. We're going to run with financial services. We're going to have emergency medical services. We're going to have an academy where we're going to train first aid, to train security, and then we train our workers who are going to work. We train directors, we train whoever needs to take a position or management position in the cooperative. And then we want to do import-export. Then we want to do this. As a cooperative, at some point, that would be messy. And therefore, you would need to have dedicated people running with those various units. But in a business world where you want to be organized, very organized and clean and transparent and accountable, what you do is you register these things as separate entities. And naturally, the only way to separate to register a lot of companies and manage them properly, the only logical thing is to form a holding company and manage them as subsidiaries. And those entities still belonging to the cooperative. Now, anybody who has missed this video, there's a video that I did called the Promedical, I think it's corporate restructuring or something, but there's a video that I did, and you can just go to YouTube and you type Promedical, and you will find those videos there. You just type Promedical, there are many videos there. Then they can assist anyone who would like to understand the idea. This idea was presented long ago And I would have expected that members of the cooperative went out there to look for this information, because the information is stored there, it's in the website, and there is also on YouTube. So now, the cooperative is going nowhere. That's a short answer to the question. It's still there. There's also, we agreed that when we contribute money, we're contributing a little bit because we're still identifying robust opportunities. That's why we didn't want to take a lot of money from people. We just wanted a little bit so that people don't get palpitations, you know. Because if you have contributed your 6,100, honestly, that cannot make you poor, even if you were to lose it. I'm not saying that anybody's going to lose his money. There's nothing we're going to do with anybody's money. I mean, 6,100 does not money that should go anywhere, disappear. It should be grown so that at least you have got something better tomorrow. Now, there's no, no way we could have tackled the opportunities that we wanted to tackle. One of the things that we looked at, if we remember, as a cooperative, we said, we wanted to wrestle the healthcare industry from the wrong hands of a businessman. We said we wanted to own hospitals, wanted to own rehabilitation centers, wanted to own medical centers, day hospitals, wanted to control the money flow. We said so. And these things are there also in our constitution and in our objectives. Now the question is, how would you do these things if you do not have a proper structure? Of course, I'm going back to the issue of processes and procedures. We didn't develop them, guys. We didn't develop the procedures and processes. We tried from time to time to set up committees that did not fly. I'm not blaming anyone for this. But on numerous occasions, I called for people to call me to start having a meeting so that we set up a handover. I can show people these are the things that I've done so far. Take over and run with this. I wanted to focus on marketing and deal making because I'm a deal maker. I'm a person who goes around. I wake up in the morning and look for deals and I negotiate deals. That's what I do. That's what I do best. So we don't have processes and procedures. Maybe this is where my leader is making his point to say, then if we don't have, we must have processes and procedures. So it means we need to sit down as a cooperative and develop them so that in the near future or next time, I do not take business decisions without following certain laid out procedures and processes. But here's the thing. I've always, in all the Promedical cooperative meetings that we had, I've always presented a business report and nobody objected to anything that I was presenting. Not even one person who ever said, but Dr. Mkhulisi, here, I think you should wait. We need to have a broader meeting of the cooperative, properly constituted, and then, you know, this kind of a decision you can take. No one. I'll tell you why. It's because the decisions that I was taking were business decisions, were decisions that were advancing the cause of the cooperative. They were not decisions that they were advancing my cause. They were advancing the cause of the cooperative to say, cooperative needs to take an advantage of this opportunity. If we miss it, it is gone. Because in business, there's no opportunity that waits for anyone. Whilst you are still having your broader meeting and consultation and all those things, business does not work like that. Business goes. So I took an approach where I would negotiate and report. I didn't take an approach where I would first go to the consult with the cooperative and go and negotiate. for me, that would have actually costed this cooperative big time. We could have lost on almost on everything, because to set up a cooperative meeting takes time. We are many. We have got members in UK. We have got members in Canada. It's not easy. Even in most of our meetings, you would find that even the attendance is not very good, was not very good, very poor. I can tell you now. And it's getting worse. So this cooperative decided that, saying that we are this entrepreneurial cooperative, we need to find ways of making money. And I've mentioned the others of identifying opportunity. But one of the key things we said we're going to lend money to the members. We'll lend money to the members at an interest of 5% per month, and they kept at 30%. And then we did that. We lended money, and it did well. We're still lending. Well, we have stopped now for a while because we're trying now to work out, how much is this cooperative worth, but that's what we did. And we looked at other ways of making money. I personally made decisions, business decisions, that I always reported back to this cooperative, even from the early days when we were meeting at the hospital. I remember there was a meeting when I reported that I had to move the cooperative's money from a check account into the money markets account, because the interest rate at that time was about 5%. I remember FNP was giving us 5%. In fact, we negotiated with the manager. Said he's going to give us 5% because our account was looking good, and that was uploaded. That was uploaded by the cooperative. It was not questioned that why you did not first consult before you make such a decision. Then there was a point when cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, was doing very well. I reported that actually I grew the assets of a cooperative by about, I think it was about 40% or something, when Bitcoin was rallying, because I understood that asset as it was doing what it was doing. That asset moved from, to give you an example, it moved from $100. No, moved from, yeah, but if I can give you in rands, I think it moved from about 100 and something thousand to $1 million in a period of a year. Rallied from December to December the following year. Made 40% out of that I exited. I reported that. And I remember Dr. Balfour Tutula said to me, "Oh, you must be very brave to go into such assets." Now, these decisions are not made without the risk in mind. Every decision that I've made, always there was a backing. I knew that, and this has been reflected in many meetings that I had. I knew that if it happens that I lose money of the cooperative, that money is secured by me, because I would then simply pay it back, because then I wouldn't like the cooperative to lose money. I'm just giving you this. So there's no recklessness here. Here, what is happening is somebody who understands certain markets and how these markets work, how these things work. I'll come to the issue of other things that we've done, like the items and so on. So we loaned money to people. It came back, although some of the people would go beyond 6 months. We understood, which was not a very good way of doing business. That's why at a later stage we had to change that. We have changed that. It's working totally different now. It's a corporate structure now. It's no longer the cooperative handling. Remember, I said, imagine if the cooperative was to handle those things at the level of a cooperative, it would be chaos. So already we learned the lessons that no, actually what needs to happen, this thing needs to be a company. So we've set up now a financial services company, a Promedical financial consulting that deals with the money side of things. Okay. And then when we dealt with the money markets, the interest rates, they went down, moved from 5% to 3%. And then I exited and explained to the cooperative later that no, we exited that market. Great man on Bitcoin, we exited that one. Now, you don't put money in the bank. That's one thing. Then that's where maybe it will bring us to something else. Money loses buying power over time. Many people call it inflation. Don't want to be technical about it. If you had 20 rands 2019 and you could buy 5 apples, 20 rands today cannot buy 5 apples. It buys less. Can buy half. So that's what it means. It has been eaten by inflation. So if you are not beating inflation, if you're sitting with your money in the bank and you're not beating inflation, what are you doing? Then for me, I honestly don't understand that way of doing things. I don't do things like that. I don't put money in the bank. I start businesses. That's where I feel that money is safe. But I'll deal with that as we go on. Let us look at the model of the cooperative that we adopted from the beginning. Because these things, they are not coming now. These things come from the very foundation of Promedical Primary Cooperative. Right at the conception. We said there will be instances when we go out there doing deals where Promedical needs to fund a deal with its own money. And we said, in that case, the person who has negotiated the deal gets 10%. That's how a person will be paid. But the person who is looking for the deal uses his own resources. You go and look for the deal, you find it, then you say to Promedical, fund the deal. Promedical will give you 10%. That was agreed upon. And that did not need any further interpretation. That's what it was. That's what it is even today. But of course, the understanding is you go and look for a deal, find the deal, and then Promedical will fund it. And then you get your commission. And that is where a deal will be discussed at Promedical. But again, most of the time, and we've seen it, we've been doing it, would go there, run around Zanadu, all these places in Hartbees, we're running, Pretoria North, we're running. We're not coming back every day to report to the cooperative. You cannot just keep reporting. You need to come with something tangible, present it and say, here it is. How do we then deal with it? And then at times, it depends also on the size of the project. If, for instance, you are dealing with something huge, something massive, and then like a hospital where we're taking or we're buying a hospital and so forth, you'd go negotiate, and once you are done with your negotiations, you come back and then you come and report to the cooperative and tell the cooperative, listen, this is the deal, it looks like this, and this is what we have been doing all along. We're not reporting every day, but we go out, negotiate, and come back. Some of the deals, of course, they fell flat, but that's how we're doing things. That's how we do things. We go out, look for business. And in a cooperative, we also have a situation where the member decides to fund a business. But because he has used the name of the cooperative, if he does a business, that's what we agreed upon, we discussed these things. If you have decided to do the business under or using the name of the cooperative, and then you will be decent to give the cooperative at 10%. If you are using the name and the bank account of the cooperative to access or to take advantage of that business or to conclude that business. And if you get assistance from Promedical Primary Cooperative using its letterhead the power that it has, in terms of the number and the quality of people that it has. And then you give Promedical 10%, and because it's your deal, you identified it, you financed it, and then you walk away with your 90%. And that was the entrepreneurial spirit that was breathed into this corporate from the beginning. Then we also have situations where both the member and the cooperative contribute and say, here's an opportunity. The cooperative puts so much money because that money is available and the opportunity has been identified. And the member says, I'm also prepared to risk my money. Then in that case, the percentage split goes according to who put what. And the such deals just sit around the table and then they are negotiated and then that's it. So again, yes, I give it to my leader who asked about the procedures and processes. Of course, you need to have procedures and processes where we can be able to engage on the boardroom table and disagree to agree. But some of the deals, honestly, are very simple and straightforward. Especially where it is in the best interest of the cooperative. I will unpack one of the deals that are in question right now. This is something that I will do with my eyes closed because it makes perfect sense to me. Maybe let us look at something else as well, as to what is actually Promedical core business. Promedical, there's no core business in Promedical. Our core business is health. Also any other opportunity that would assist us to actually grow our money. But our main focus is health. So there's quite a lot in health. In health, you have got ambulances, you have got hospitals, you have got day clinics, you have got, there's a product that I did, which is in the market. It's called Promedical Medical Insurance. I reported that product in the meeting. I never consulted for the development of that product because the mandate for me was clear. The mandate was that as a member, we go out there, look and create opportunities and bring them to Promedical. The mandate as an entrepreneurial cooperative has never been that come to the cooperative, let's sit down and discuss what you can go out there and negotiate and do and bring home. No, you have got to be a business person. Go out there, identify, negotiate, bring home. And I did that. I paid 25,000 rands to set up that product. And there are clients on that product. It's a medical insurance. It's competing with others. Of course, the marketing is not so great because, I mean, we really need to be aggressive on that one. But it exists, it's there. And is it a liability? No. Is it an asset? Yes. What is an asset? An asset is what brings money home. What is a liability is what takes money out. So as I go down, you'll realize that all the things that I've done, they are actually assets. They are bringing money home. Because what you don't want is a situation where you lose money. You don't want to lose the power of the buying power of your money. You don't want to lose that. You also don't want something that is going to take money. So you want things that are going to bring in money. And to me, those are good business decisions. Now, how do other members benefit out of all this? Because this mogul of ours seems that, entrepreneurial people are the ones who benefit. No, that's not the truth. Members benefit because they have invested their money and their money grows. It grows even if you're not doing anything. Those who are doing everything, who are running around, they get commission. Those who are not doing anything, put their money and then continue to operate, it's fine. They still grow their money. As I'm going to, of course, we need to show you how much your shares have appreciated, or what is the value of your shares. That is why we're doing the whole exercise of capitalization, which I've explained in the video. Trying to determine what is the value of a share. Now that we have got members who have been contributing and we've got all these activities that are happening in the cooperative, business activities, things that are bringing money home. Now that we have those, we want to know now, what is the value of your share in the cooperative? Right. The other question that I think I was thinking about as I was going through the questions, I think I just here a bit. I decided to jump the gun a little bit, even though the question was not posed. But I just decided that I need to cover this area because this is an opportunity to actually make people think deep about how this cooperative is structured. How does it work? The question is, does Promedical actually have to own businesses? And does Promedical have to focus only on lending money and not own businesses? Or does Promedical have to do both? Now, in my view, Promedical has to do both. But Promedical must adapt and take a proper shape. Promedical as a cooperative doesn't have to change. It stays as Promedical. It stays as a pool of entrepreneurs and as a pool of investors, people who believe in themselves, who can put down the monies that they have. And then part, in executing businesses, Promedical needs a holding company and subsidiaries. Hence, I proposed that corporate structure and hence the restructure. But if Promedical members feel, no, Promedical should not do business. Promedical should just lend money to those who want to do business. And then they will have to say so. If they want to limit Promedical only on the hospital business and nothing else, they must say so. But I don't think Promedical should limit itself like that. There's a lot of talent in this organization that has not been tapped. So we can go on as long as we know how to structure properly. We'll have peace, and we train our people to know how to manage these entities. We'll smile every day to them. Of course, again, we need to set up. I agree with 100%. The idea of corporate governance for me is one of those things that I would never utter a word against. I believe in those things like a Christian who believes in religion, or any religious person believes in religion. I believe in good corporate governance. So I think we would need, as a cooperative, to find people who can sit down and draw for us procedures and processes. I've got my own ways of doing things. I'm more of an entrepreneur. I've started many companies in my life. Some of them took off. Some of them took a nosedive. I've never sat down and had proper procedures but I believe in those things, and I wish maybe I had that. I tend to take decisions on the basis of whether it makes business sense or not. I can evaluate the business, but just by looking at it. I don't need all the complicated calculations that many people usually do. I've got a few questions that I asked, and I already know that it's going to fly. But anyway, I really am of the idea that we need to sit down and deal with that. Those processes and procedures, they are very important. I think that's the crux of the matter here. It is not whether the question, whether the action was there a reason? There were compelling reasons, yes. And I don't think anybody's questioning the reason. I think what is being questioned is actually the consultation part, and which I really give it to anyone who's questioned that, but I've already given a background why. And I've mentioned that one, we don't have such procedures, processes and procedures. Number two, it has been happening that way since we have been engaged in this business. I have been presenting business report, and there's nobody who objected to the way we're doing business, unless maybe I'm missing the boat here, or maybe I'm missing the argument. But I appreciate the fact that, you know, we need to have proper procedures and processes. Were the reasons reasonable? Yes, reasons were reasonable. Were they wrong? No, I don't think so. Everything I did in the interest of the cooperative. By the way, the idea that we bought ambulances, and then I'm touching on it now, that the ambulances, we bought them maybe I'll come to the ambulance. Let me deal with, yeah, I've dealt with whether the question is wrong, all right? There are two questions. I've mentioned the issue of procedures and processes. The second one is whether this cooperative is going to embrace the corporate structure that we're taking. I wish this cooperative should embrace that, because that's the only way we can carry on with business as a cooperative, especially with all these business opportunities that have been identified, negotiated, and concluded. I don't see any way that we can be able to handle them unless we've got a proper corporate structure. The other thing as well that actually led me to actually motivate and push for and initiate the process of a corporate structure is when we had meetings, engagements with the various corporate organizations. The name of Safari, we had a lot of guys, Intercare, so many. And those guys, they are structured in a corporate fashion. So they found it difficult to deal with us. And I did mention this to the cooperative members that we need to look at it. And I initiated the process of looking at this. And here we are. And I remember at some point, one company called Brentwood Capital, they wanted almost 350,000 from us to restructure us. I said, no, we can do this. We've got attorneys, we've got the CFA guys, we've got auditors, we've got all, we know these things. We don't need people who are going to take money from us just to do this thing for us. And here we are, we've done it. So there are no stories, okay? And then it's up to the cooperative if the cooperative decides or thinks that it is important to embrace the corporate structure, and then we do that. If the cooperative thinks that, no, we don't need a corporate structure of that nature, then yeah, no, that would be said, because then I don't see how we're going to. And again, I mean, I know that that's not the point in question. You understand? I just sort of tried to cover even areas that have not been dealt with. So pardon me if maybe I've made this video too long unnecessarily, but I thought that maybe let me also just preempt, you know, some of the questions and just deal with them before they come. Okay. Before I deal with the technical stuff like inflation and assets and all the other things that are raised, let me just share just a story. You know, it would sound silly, but it actually makes perfect sense. The difference between a person who is charged with the corporate responsibilities, especially if we are talking now private business. If you are in private, if you are doing business in private, then the person who is actually charged with responsibilities of doing the business in the state or who's managing state assets. The attitude between the two is totally different. And I think I fall on the side of not trying to justify my actions, but I fall on the side of the private companies. The way of thinking is that if you are given a budget, if you are sitting with a budget, and you see opportunities and you don't act right on those opportunities. If you're working for the state and you came back and you said to the state, hey, listen, man, it's end of the financial year now, and I've got good news. I didn't spend a cent out of the money that you gave me, although I did see some opportunities, but I felt the risk was high. And then, if that's the government, I can tell you, you'll be given a medal. But if you were to do that in private and you come back and tell shareholders that, no, you saw some opportunities, but you know what, you were so careful that you didn't want to lose money, I can guarantee you'll be fired. Because then the shareholders wouldn't have made a dime out of that nonsense. So, but if you come back and you say, listen, guys, the risk was high, I looked at it, understood it, analyzed it, and put in mitigating plans to deal with the risk as high as it is. And here's the performance. It's not very good, but I mean, I'm satisfied that the risk is managed very well. I can tell you you'll get promoted. So it's just those ways of thinking about things. You understand? I always say in my businesses, I run a lot of businesses. I always say if my manager tells me that say a particular employee, is not giving us a good value for money, and there this and this and this issue. I mean, I always ask, what did you do about it? Why are you telling me? And then if he says, no, I just want you to know, then I'll tell him, next time you come here, I'll fire you. Because you should have actually decided there, what I'm going to do with this employee is not giving us value for money. It's either you get rid or you find a way of rehabilitating this person, but don't come and tell me things that I'm not interested in. Do your work, and that's it. So some people look at assets differently. I see assets differently. If you ask an accounting professor or very smart guys, they will tell you, assets are liabilities and owner's equity. I don't define assets like that. To me, assets are those things that are bringing in money to me. And the liabilities, they take money from me. It's as easy as that. I don't complicate things. I've learned over time, been taught by the best, that's the best way of looking at it. I look at wealth totally differently. Other people look at wealth in a certain way. I look at wealth in my way. To make it easy for myself, if I want to know how wealthy I am, I just look at the number of years or days or months that I can live. If I were to stop working today, I were to stop working and I don't change my lifestyle, and I continue living and I stop working, and then without changing my lifestyle, that tells me how wealthy I am. So if I can last for 3 months, it means that's my wealth. My wealth is 3 months. If I can last for a year, so it means my wealth is 1 year. So I think like that because it helps me, to work harder and put so much so that at least I know that if I were to stop working, then how many years can I survive without changing my lifestyle? But other people will tell you about a lot of fancy definitions, which it's okay. But for me, it doesn't work. Okay. The story of a bishop and a pastor is very interesting because when I was in the diamond industry, right, there's a bishop who sent a pastor to Lesotho. I knew this bishop. And then he sent the pastor to pray for a certain woman who was dying. And I think this woman had cancer in Lesotho. And then the pastor went there to pray. And then when he arrived there, he prayed. And then this old woman stood up and said, "Oh, thank you very much. I'm feeling much better. I'm almost healed now after the prayer." And then she then went to another corner in the same room. It was a roundabout. Went to the corner there and brought a canned fruit full of diamonds and gave it to this pastor. And then this pastor pushed it back and said, "No, we don't charge for the prayer. It's just free." And this woman says, "No, but I was in pains and I was not sleeping, and now that you have prayed for me, actually I feel like I can actually go to sleep now. The pains are gone." And this pastor pushed it back, and it was like push and pull, push and pull. Then until this old woman gave up and took this canned fruit full of diamonds and put it back in the corner there. So the pastor went back to the bishop in Gauteng. And the pastor then related the story to the bishop. This is what happened. I prayed, and then ended up, diamonds, and this woman was pushing. I was pushing, and then the pastor says, "He was tired of listening to this thing." Then he asked a question. "Okay, did you take the diamonds? Where are the diamonds?" Then the pastor said, "No, I left the diamonds in Lesotho. They are in Lesotho with this old woman." Oh, the bishop was very, very angry. The bishop said, "No. You should have taken the diamonds." Then the pastor said, "But Bishop, Father, you always teach us that we don't charge for prayer." Then the bishop says, "No. You see, we have been praying for many, many years. And we have been praying that God should bless us. And now the blessings came, and you did not see the blessings because those diamonds were the blessings from God. Because this woman now, you prayed and she's better, and then she's giving diamonds. So basically, God is actually blessing us." And the bishop was very angry. And he said, "Please, you go back today. You go back today. You don't even sleep tonight. Go back to the studio. Take my car. Those diamonds must come back here. You need those diamonds." And then this pastor went to Lesotho. And unfortunately, he found this old woman dead. And then there was a lot of people crying there. So there was no way you can be asking about diamonds. Now, the moral of the story is that it's important to identify opportunities and take an advantage of the opportunity, because we all pray for these opportunities to come. When you see them, you have got to seize them as fast as you can. Now, if you get an opportunity like the ambulances, and you are told that, these ambulances, they are going tomorrow, and there are 3 of them. And then you can see the book value it's a 220,000. They have done 100,000 kilometers. Book value, you check it, is 220,000. You're getting them at 130, 140,000 each. And then you have the money to buy these ambulances. You buy them, then you can sell them tomorrow, because basically you can sell and make money tomorrow. And here's the thing: utility vehicles, they are assets because they bring money. The fact that they depreciate in terms of, when you calculate depreciation, you can buy a fridge, it depreciates because it puts in your meat and blah, blah, blah. You buy a laptop, it depreciates and so on. Even the car that you drive, it depreciates because the kilometers, they go up. That's how vehicles depreciate. When the kilometers go up, the price goes down. Utility vehicles don't behave like that. Never. It's a business. These parties, these ambulances, they load people and these people pay. Let me give you an example. This ambulance, the one that we bought and is running, because the other two are still busy trying to sort out the paperwork. Already it has made about 100,000 rands just in cash that came from road accident fund. There's still some more money that is still sitting with road accident fund that is still being checked and cleared is going to come over. So the argument of inflation not being beat by an ambulance because of dissociation, I don't understand that one. No, I don't understand that. When you set up a business, because this is not just a question of buying 3 ambulances. Here we set up a business. It's a subsidiary. It's a subsidiary of Promedical. 66% of this company is owned by Promedical. So it means Promedical members. If we grow this fleet, it means Promedical members. This company, 66% of it is owned by Promedical. Because Dr. Siwele also put in his own money and then to purchase 1. So we bought 3. So Promedical has got something that brings in money. Promedical has got an asset. You see. So in a short space of time, running patients up and down. In fact, of course, there are challenges of, expenses and all those things, but it has already made 80,000. So basically, I mean, just 1 ambulance, and there's a lot of money sitting there that is still going to come because we have sent claims to RAF. So I don't think the argument of inflation holds when you're talking about this ambulance. I understand inflation very well. Like I would smell it coming from there. I mean, I would never take a decision that would expose us to something that won't assist us to beat inflation. I build businesses. I've started many businesses in my life. I'm an entrepreneur. I come from manufacturing. I've done so many things, financial services, everywhere. I'm an all-rounder. So I understand that when I do something, what could be the implications at a later stage. So in this case, Promedical is owning 66% of this entity. And the 66 points, blah, 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 33 point, what, Dr. Swele, who came up with his own cash and said, I can't afford to lose this opportunity because there were 3. I could not buy all 3. I said, no, we can only buy 2. And then he bought the other one, and then that's it. And then we formed a company, which is a subsidiary of Promedical, of the holding company, and we've put it in. Promedical owns major shares there, you see. And then there are other subsidiaries. I'm not going to talk about them. I was just addressing things that are in the question. The question of dilution, shares being diluted. I don't know how Promedical members' shares can be diluted in this case because what we have done here, from the beginning, we agreed that we needed to be 200 for us to register a cooperative bank. And we went out to recruit people. We have got 2 chat groups. Recruited about 105 or so people paid. Okay, not everybody paid the same amount. Some pay less. But it means some bought less shares. It means there are a lot of shares still available to be bought. Then we're almost half. So we want to recruit some more so that we reach our 200. And that's all I've said. I said, we need to reach 200. Once we have reached 200, then we close. And this is what we discussed long time ago. Even in our further meetings that we had, we were always discussing how far are we from 200, how far are we from. So I don't understand how then maybe dilution happen, because that's our target. We want to get there. And we still have to capitalize Promedical to tell what is the value of it. And those people who do not invest, of course, maybe that's where the question comes from. If now we are issuing, we are saying we're raising more money. Of course, we raise money by issuing shares. People, to avoid dilution, they must put in money. We're all investing now in the things that we always said want to have hospitals, want to have this. So we're raising that money. So we need to stand up now and start investing and say, okay, but without losing what you already have. The shares that are sitting in the cooperative will be evaluated and the people will be given dividends according to the shares that they have. That has nothing to do with the money that we're raising now. All right. But those people who decide that no, they want to take the money that they have invested plus the dividends when we declare dividends, and they want to add it to Unam Capital, where they are investing to the other assets that we have established, then it's also fine. But what I'm saying is that I'm driving a process where the shares of the members as they are in Promedical, they need to be evaluated and the people need to be told, this is so much your share is worth. And therefore, when we declare these dividends, we need to say, this is what you get according to the number of shares that you have. Then it's up to a person to decide if he's going to say, oh, okay, let me take this money back and invest it and put some more money, because we're calling for more money. That's all we're calling for. Because at the beginning, we just put in a little bit because we don't want people to have palpitations and to put a lot of money and then start thinking that, hey, you know what, I wonder what's going to happen with the fund. We knew that we needed to have robust business opportunities that we can actually invest in, where people can see that, oh boy, the growth is going to be enormous. That's the whole idea. And I've explained that now we have got an asset management company. These are the people who are assisting us. We have got asset management company. We have got auditors. We have got CFAs in this organization. These are the people who are going to assist us to determine the value of these shares. I'm not going to do it myself as Dr. Mkulise. I've never evaluated the value of any organization in terms of, it's not my area. I understand how it works. I can't do it if there's no one else. But these are the guys who will be doing it. And then, and that's it. And then regarding the shares at Lesego Private Hospital, those shares is very clear. 10% of those shares already have been paid for by DBSA. They are for specialists who will be admitting there. Period. That's what they did. And there's nothing I could do about it. They told me that, listen, we have given us a specialist who will be operating, because they wanted the list of specialists who will be operating there and who are going to be responsible for Lesego Private Hospital. And any other specialist who wants to work there will have to go through our specialists. Basically, it's locked. And then they gave them 10% shares. I've negotiated that the Promedical should be given a chance, and they packaged it like that. They said, okay, fine, 10% for specialists. Then another 10%, they said Promedical needs to buy it. And all this 10% is 6 million, 6 million. Then I said, okay, it's fine. We'll buy it as Promedical, as an investment where we invest in a hospital, because that's our game. We invest in that. So, yes, they want money for that. They are not going to give us shares in return for the patients that we are going to admit. No, they don't want them. But the good thing is this. Now we have a hospital where we can admit our patients, because that's our struggle. Most of us were struggling with theater time. Now we have theater time. We have theater now, theaters that we can control, because now we end up operating patients at Philadelphia, driving 1.5 hours to go and operate patients in a government hospital there, because these hospitals are giving us headache. But at least we have got something. And we hope that from here we'll grow strength to strength, and then picking up other projects. There are other projects that are coming up, but that's not the purpose of this video. So I think I've covered ground in terms of responding to these questions. If I didn't answer everything, let me see. Yeah. Then please pardon me. Yeah, but I really focus on more information. Yeah, I think I've tried my best, but I know it can always create more questions than answers. But it's fine for me. That's all I've done, guys. And then maybe let me close by saying, and this is actually very important that I must say this. We need actually to even start thinking deep and ask ourselves, how do we want to engage in businesses moving forward? I'm thinking loud here. If, for instance, Promedical would say to me, hey, you know what, Dr. Mkulise, we hear you all what you have said, but we don't want all these things. We just wanted to have money in the bank. We didn't want all these things. Then for me, that's still fine. Because I can tell you right now, all that I've done is secured. It's secured. Meaning, if someone can say, this is a wasteful expenditure, you shouldn't have done this, then to me it's very easy. I would say, no, it's okay if that is the case. But I don't think it's a wasteful expenditure. But if someone can tell me that, then the question would be, can we have the cooperative agreeing that, you know, it's unnecessary, we don't need this? And then if that is the case, and then I'll simply replace the money of the cooperative on that area where the cooperative is not here. So we need to sort of think about it as to in the near future, how do we want to make sure that someone is not scared of doing good things that will assist the cooperative to grow, or things that are benefiting the cooperative? That person be scared that maybe may be questioned to say, you know, later. So I think that will be a question of making a decision to say, do we want to start to have these processes and procedures? It means everybody need to follow this way of doing things. Even before you can identify an opportunity, but before it's approved, you come back, you present, you convince the cooperative that there's a need, then you go to the next step for the approval of the proposal is approved, then the money released and all those things, you know, all those steps, you understand? We'll have to decide about that. Or we can look at something else as well, to say, if you want to go and you don't want to go through all those processes, you can go in, but at your own risk. And when you come back and present it to the cooperative, this is accepted, and therefore you get reimbursed. But if it's rejected, and then it's in your pocket. I'm thinking loud. I'm not saying anything, you know. Because what you don't want a situation where, you know, here's a clear cut, you know, a deal, you know, and someone is afraid to actually take the deal because he thinks that, what if it gets, but this thing you can see is a business deal, is clear. I mean, it's something that, and really we're not talking millions here, just, you know, talking small amounts, maybe in the region of about 200, 300,000. But again, I'm just talking loud this time. It's just food for thought. Think about it, if maybe it's something that can be looked at. But personally, I think anything that would be helpful to the cooperative in terms of arriving at decision making, I would accept it. I don't think I would have issues with anything. I'm sorry, this video has become too long unnecessarily. So very, very sorry, but I had to do it so that at least I avoid a situation where there are a lot of questions. I don't know if maybe I have actually even brought up a lot of questions by my talks, but by my talk. Okay, all right. So I think I've covered ground. No, and then Thanks, guys, and I really thank my leader for asking this question. It gave me it made me think a lot about Promedical. You know, to say, you know, we need to look at things even deeper and see, you know, how can we assist in terms of clarify. I know there's always a difference. People differ, especially intelligent people like we have in the cooperative. You know, I'm not intelligent that much, but I know that people have got their own opinions, which I respect a lot. So we can discuss that if maybe there's still a need. And then, yeah, okay. For me, it's okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.